Welcome to the Barbell Strikes Back. I'm James McDermott, joined by Miguel Porter. Miguel, how you doing?
Not bad, not bad.
Yeah, we were just saying this is the first weekend where there's not like a major event, a wedding, a baby shower, a graduation, a community workout. So it's been nice having just kind of like a I won't say peaceful weekend, but like a weekend where it's like, oh, I don't have to like be anywhere and do all this, all this stuff. Wait, I can't hear you. I lost you.
Oh, you can't?
Oh, now I can. Okay. I just had
Can you hear me?
it's
Okay.
it's weird. I have notifications on, I guess, for the podcast through YouTube. So even though YouTube's not open on my browser, a thing will pop up that says the Barbell Strikes Back is live, as if I was going to go watch it, and it started to do all this dinging, and then I lost audio. So sorry about that. What were you saying?
Oh, okay. No, yeah. I mean, I was still doing my typical run around deal. I was in the city yesterday and then drove back last night. So, yeah,
Hmm.
still running around, but yeah.
So you drive to New York City pretty often. I mean, one of there's all kinds of reasons why I would want to go here and there, but I always, dread it or end up not going because I don't want to have to travel down there. What you have any travel tips? And how do you park? All that stuff.
Um, I would say parking is easier than you'd think. Um, I mean, it depends. I'm usually in Brooklyn, which I feel like might be a little bit easier, and I'm there on the weekends. So
Hmm.
that opens up a lot of spots. The really only time I've had trouble in the city was a concert at Madison Square Garden on like a Monday or Tuesday because I try to get there a little bit early, but because I got there so early, a lot of the parking spots are like you can't park here until like 7 p.m. or like 6 p.m. or something. So that makes it tough. Otherwise, you just got to believe in yourself. I always tell everyone, like
Yeah.
I try to get as close to the venue. Like some people like get a mile away and then like try to find parking or like go to a parking garage. But like if you drive up to the venue and like you might have to circle, but other times, like you can probably park on the same street as the venue. You just have to. Timing is important. Like I lucked out yesterday, and uh, there was like you have to pay for. I mean, either way, I would have just paid, but parking was free after 7, and I parked like directly at 7, so it was fine. But yeah, the drive. You just got to give yourself enough time and be okay with schedules kind of changing and whatever. I mean, depending on what time I got there, I was also maybe going to drop into the Murder of Crows open.
Oh,
Um, but with the time that I left, it would have been too tight to try to squeeze in everything that I wanted. But yeah, I just keep the day like mostly open because you might have to pivot depending on like crazy things in traffic or whatever. But yeah.
yeah. I think that's my problem. I don't believe in myself enough. Like I've gotten really comfortable driving to Boston, and it's it's like a city. It's a little bit more intense than driving around Albany, which really isn't that intense at
Yeah.
all. And it's just a little crazy because everyone seemingly knows where they're going, and I just go slow. So I've gotten like comfortable with that. But New York City, there's always this thing in my head, even when I've been down to the Murder of Crows Open, which is going on this weekend. It's like, like you might have to circle the block a lot. And then now I know the trick. I can park right outside of their loading zone thing and have a guaranteed spot
Uh,
that I ask about in advance. But it's like, I, I should do it more often. I keep seeing like concerts and stuff. And as soon as I see NYC, I'm like, nope, we're out. Like not that one. Maybe
oh
they'll go
wow.
some,
Yeah.
maybe they'll go somewhere else. So I got to stop that. I got to just pull the trigger. Um,
Yeah, and
so
once you get used to it as well, because I mean that was definitely a big hang up for me. And then now it's like, yeah, I'll just do it. And sometimes are worse than others. But again, if you get used to it, like when the exits are on the left and you're like, okay, there are 5 exits coming up. I have to be in the middle this time, but then I have to be in the left lane of the middle because it's going to immediately turn into this and that. But the more you do it, the more comfortable you get with it. And then it gets easier.
Well, and see, that's a big part of it too. It's not always the going trip, which I know will be busy at certain parts of time and stuff like that, especially like around the Bronx. Like it normally takes me through the
Yeah.
Bronx if I was going, let's say to actually no, for both Brooklyn and Long Island. That gets a little crazy, but the exit's always on my right. Going home and the George Washington Bridge and everything,
Yeah.
I'm like 5 lanes away from the left I need to make, and it's bumper to bumper, and it's crazy. And I'm like, never again am I doing this. Every time I tell myself,
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm never doing this again, and then I end up doing it at some point. But it's like, it's funny how little obstacles can keep people from doing things. Like think about like our classes. That's why people are gonna be late. You talk to them about being late. Hey, good idea if you could get here. You're missing information, stuff like that. But you also don't want to like create little obstacles for people that like when they're like, I'm just not going to go in. Miguel's going to yell at me again today if I show up 5 minutes late. It's like these little barriers that we don't realize can creep up all of a sudden can keep people from doing something very simple. Like for me, like there's a big band coming to Brooklyn, and I've been to Brooklyn many times for weightlifting meets now and stuff, but I'm not willing to go and do that just because it's in Brooklyn. I'm going to a complete another city to go see them. So it's you gotta think about things like that, on what you're doing. That's why it's good. People come in, be happy that they're there, and then if it becomes a chronic thing, hey, ask questions. Just wondering why are you always late, or hey, you never put this thing away or that thing. It's do you ever think about these things for your classes on like, it's not something that you would organically think about, but like, am I creating obstacles just to be here?
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, in terms of like the lateness thing, sometimes I like think about myself, like for like a 5:15 class, like I get out of work at 5, hopefully. And no matter like I try to cut as many steps down as I can to like if I am going to like a 5:15 class, one there's like an awareness that I probably will be like 1 or 2 minutes late just because of the drive is like 13 minutes. But like I'm trying to cut down as much on all the other things as possible. And with that being like last class of the day, like, you kind of have to make an event out of it to kind of make it. And then like Sundays, it seems like an easy. Sometimes I feel like that's how it gets you, and like family and do you get breakfast before? Do you do this or that? Like what's going on to try to do that? But yeah, I mean, there are already so many obstacles that stop people or make people want to like turn around. I know from myself of like the smallest thing. If it rained the second I was walking to my car, never mind. I'm going home.
Going home.
So it's like, yeah, I guess it's like trying not to add on top of that, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, and it doesn't even. I mean, being late is a good example, because no one enjoys being late. And like I know if I'm running a little bit behind, there's like just a little bit of stress behind the eyes. Just like I'm just like, man, I like for Justin's wedding, for example. I got there with plenty of time on time, but it wasn't the time I had set for myself, and I had like cut it like just short on like I'm looking at the GPS and it's like you're gonna be there now at 5:30, and my was gonna get there at like 5:15 or something, but everything just took a little bit longer, and now I'm staring at the GPS and really there's no reason to stress out about this at all, but I just wanted to be there at a certain time to make sure I was comfortable and getting everything in and all that stuff. So it's like you could even just manifest your own thing that's making it stressful, or if you think about like the workouts themselves. someone might see deadlifts and be like, "Ah, my back always hurts," or I've had some back issues and I'm afraid to go in. I don't want to get hurt, so I'm going to skip today. Or it's a heavy shoulder day and I have shoulder issues and whatnot. And that's where it's good that people know that you got them. Hey, come to
Yeah.
class. No matter what the workout is, if you come to class, I'm not going to have a rifle there and force you to run the 5 miles. But that's what people think. People think that like they're going to come in and you're like, no, no, you have to do this. And it's like, no, it's literally never ever been the case. But people still create the scenario in their head. What do you think that is? Where you can tell people a million times, you could text people, I got you. We're going to modify this. Just come get a good workout, all that stuff. But they still have the hang up on like, well, there's rope climbs today and I can't do a rope climb and I never see myself doing a rope climb. So I'm not going to go in.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's humans just have these like built-in anxieties that I don't know, maybe they're survival, like just in cases. Like I need to mentally prepare that this could be worst case scenario. Um, there was like this video going around where it's this woman's like all her fears of the airport are like manifesting, where she's getting there and they're like, oh, is that a personal item? This is actually a non-personal item flight. You have to leave the airport. And it's like, but it's like sometimes you go to the airport and like something's pop in your head where you're like, what if my ticket's fake? And you're like, why would my ticket be fake? Why would my flight not be real? But I think it's like along that same vein where you're just moving and you're like, what if this becomes worst case scenario? Like this should be very reasonable, but like what if it becomes the worst possible thing that I imagine? They say that they got me, but what if I get there and then everyone points and laughs at me because I'm not doing this thing, or they know I have knee issues, but like I'm not running or squatting or whatever, and it becomes this terrible thing. I think it's just a thing that our minds do. Um,
Yeah.
Even though we know it's not rational, it's like survival almost.
Yeah. It's, it's funny. Like you can even talk to people before they come in, or like, let's say they always come to my class and then I'm gonna not be there, and then you'll get messages on, especially like when you guys were new, you and Shaf. People are like, "Well, does he know? Like, does he know this about me and whatnot?" So
Yeah,
you have to like
yeah,
prep people in advance, be like, "He's got you." Like, or tell them I've talked to him about you, and I've talked to you about it. The workout and stuff. You guys are gonna be okay. But like all these fears come up, like, well, what if Miguel's too rough with me? What if Shaf forgets about me? Or even it could be they look at advance to see who's signed up for class and stuff. And that might be like, oh, it's muscle up day or pull up day. Everyone's on the bars. I'm going to be the only one scaling it. I can't
yeah,
go into that. I don't want to do that. Or they feel left out. That's why I like progressions sometimes that has everybody do the scaling. Like, hey, everybody, we're going to do knee push-ups. Everybody. I know Mike, can do 100 in a row in 90 seconds or whatever, but I'm going to have him do knee push-ups too, right next to you. And then now, okay, he's going to go and do push-ups, but just little things like that to kind of take the edge off. Like, look, we all did it and it's okay. Like you're still, and then the language you use too. Hey, if you're still working on full push-ups, here's what I want you to do. And then if you're comfortable with them, let's do them right now, and that could
yeah,
be either repeating the knee push-ups or, hey, I want you to lower down with your knees in the air and then push up with your knees on the floor. Just give them something that's a little bit more in between. And like, all right, let's do it for a set of two now. But in the workout, let's go back to the knees, or let's use a box so our whole body's moving. Just it's definitely a big responsibility on the language we use, the progressions we use. And when you're building a progression, think to yourself, how can I also within the progression like quell some fears or like irrationalities that might happen too? That's part of like the art of the progression as well. Like, can it do that part too, where
yeah,
everybody feels like it's not just so black and white? All right, well, you're going to be stuck down here and everyone else is going to go up there. And we have this weird, not like a class system, but kind of like a hierarchy of what's happening. And you feel below it. And it's not everybody that will get bothered by that, but people have their own egos, right? So it's like, and like you said, they're manifesting these things on their own. It really isn't a problem. It's only a problem that they're creating between their own ears. You got to think about these things as a coach.
Yep.
I wonder, along those lines, so we had Memorial Day Murph go down. That was last time we talked. Went well. Everybody did a great job. I was surprised with how early the day ended. I think everybody was gone by 11:30. It was just a nice, efficient, event. And I had set in during the before class, setting everything up. I'd set all the rings to my hip height, and I often do that when we're having a little event like that. And I was thinking to myself, this is the standard for scale. And I purposely tie the little straps because, one, there's nothing wrong with them dangling. It just, people can't handle it for whatever reason. Yeah. So they'll start doing things, or they'll tie them weirdly. So I'm like, let me just remove that barrier. And then I told people, leave the rings where they are. It's perfect right there. They're like, why is it perfect? And I was like, well, because it's based off me. but also it's just one standard. So that was the quote RX, or the standard for ring rows that day. It was just set to me. And I was thinking, I'm like, I should do this more often. On wall walk day, there's a million standards for wall walks. The old standard was nose to wall. And last week, boy, no matter how much coaching and encouraging I did, people will not take those extra steps to get close enough to the wall to do that. They'll be 2 to 3 hand steps away and just try to lean into it to touch their nose.
Yeah.
So again, they're not doing all of the wall walking they could be. And they're also back bending and doing weird movements just for the standard. And I'm like, you know what? I should just create what's the McDermott standard? I'll just come on over, put chalk marks on the floor and be like, that's RX today. And they're like, I thought it's normally this, or it's this in the open. Nope, that's it today. Have you thought about doing that before on nope, this is what the RX is today, on just any given thing? Because I know there's a million standards, and the open, I feel like the open kind of gets in the way of this a little bit because people have expectations of that. But it's no, this is the standard. And they're like, why is it the standard A? Because that's what I set it to be. That's all it is.
Yeah, I've done that definitely a bunch where I'm like, this is it today. Even if it says it in cap or if it doesn't, I go this is it today. I guess the most common example that we typically do is the front rack for dumbbells.
Yeah.
And then having them fully in your hands and touching one end, touching your shoulder. I think that's the most common one that we probably do is it doesn't say it, but that's what we're doing. And I do that all the time, but yeah, there are definitely some movements where I'm or maybe for an individual, like you said, for Mike or something, where we're doing pull-ups or whatever. And I'm okay, today you have to do them like this, maybe based on the time or that's spent doing it or something else where I'm yeah, today this is what it is. I know you can do them a different way, whatever, but for today, this is how we're doing them. And yeah, I think it helps a lot. One, if you're for progression's sake as well, of this will be a great thing for you to work on today, is to force yourself to do it this way, but also as just a standard of yeah, maybe it won't be like this in the open, but today this is the standard, and you should also be ready to fit whatever standard the standard is for that day.
Yeah, that's the perfect example is the front rack with the dumbbells, because everybody wants to just lay them on their shoulder, and it's that's not a front rack. Come on now, anything that's a front rack, it's it's in your hands here in the front. This, now you could argue it's really not anymore. It's closer to a back rack, I think.
Yeah.
So it's I think that's That's a great example on how to do that. Be like, nope, that doesn't count. Because and that takes care of the people that really care about like RX and whatnot, or even if they're scaling one thing, they want to do as much RX as possible. That kind of helps with that. The other comment I'll get is like people will compare other classes. They're like, well, what did they do in the morning, or what did they do in this class? And then my typical response
Right.
is like,
Yeah.
I don't care what they did in that class. Like that class. It's like we're not in a competition, and this is like that's the thing that like drives me crazy. It's like this is training. We're here for you,
Yeah.
your own individual goals to get you better. And I understand that like knowing what was done earlier in the day might help you to do that, especially if you have like a little rivalry or something. But most of the time we don't have that anymore. It's like what does it matter if they got away with doing it this way?
Right.
Well, you're
Yeah.
going to do it a different way, and maybe that means you'll be a little better for it, or I don't know, their coach let them do that. But I'm not that coach. I'm not, and this is a different class. So I think sometimes the the leaderboard gets in the way of some of this, especially
Yeah.
when we were a little more competitive. And I go back and forth with the leaderboard. I like recording the workout data. I don't think we need to be ranked though. Like I think that would be a cool aspect if Wodify would ever figure out a way where you can record things and just maybe have just when you look at the day's results, it's just a scattered all over. Like there isn't
Mm.
this hierarchy of like, look, Miguel's at the top. That means he's the best, and everyone beneath him is less. If it would just be like Miguel's results are over here and James's results are over here, and it just kind of scatters all around in a matrix, because people that's another thing that discourages people. People won't put their results in because they don't want to see themselves ranked a certain way, or they don't want to see
Yeah.
people how they did things so less, and they're at the very bottom. And it shouldn't matter, but it does to people. And you'd be surprised the people that do take issue with it. Like you'll have the 80-year-old grandma with a whole family and everything, and you're like, you care about this, and yeah,
Yeah.
she does, but then someone else that you think would care about it doesn't. Um but that might stop them from recording the results. So it's again, it's like like less obstacles, and I wish the leaderboard wasn't an obstacle for a lot of people like that. It's like, hey, just
Mm.
record your results. You don't got to look at it, you know but it does just the ranking of people. And if you think about it, in what we're trying to accomplish in on a day's workout in all the classes, we're not trying to beat each other. This is, again, it's not a competition. We're all just trying to get fitter and better. So why are we ranking everybody? It's like you got to ask yourself that. Why? You know, I know it's a component of CrossFit, but it seems like it's a little teeny tiny bit that causes bigger problems. What do you think?
Yeah. No, that's actually interesting that you say that because, yeah, maybe it's from a perspective that I haven't really, at this current time, I'm not really in thinking. Like when I started, I mean, maybe because I was, maybe more towards middle of the pack, my goal was like climbing the rankings. So I would look and pay a lot of attention to that. But yeah, right now I'm thinking, and if I do a workout, I always try to throw my score in. Um, and I really don't look at the leaderboard in terms of, who's number one versus whatever. But maybe that's because I'm looking at it from a perspective of someone who's like, I'm probably up at the top, like one of the top two, three scores. So maybe that's why. But now that you say that, like, if you are consistently based on the way that it ranks it, like doing scaled and maybe a lower time or a different time, like maybe you are consistently towards like what they would put at the bottom. And I can see now how that's like how that could be an issue
Yeah.
for people to see. Yeah.
Especially if you're like, I just want to come to the gym, work out, get fitter, all that stuff. I've been working all day, and now they're ranking me. And like
Right.
it's almost like it's like I didn't want to compete, but all these people are crazy about it. Now I'm roped up into this. I just want to work out. And so you can
Yeah.
see how like people could like start CrossFit and then they're late all the time because XYZ reason. So they get like, flack for that. They're always on the floor or doing the scaled movements, which are for, unfortunately viewed as less, which means you might view yourself as less. Now there's this leaderboard. All right, I'm only a month in. I want to lose 50 pounds. Now I'm at the bottom of the leaderboard. Everyone else is doing pull-ups. I'm not doing pull-ups. I barely get out of work. I just got here, and the coach is like making me do penalty burpees, all this stuff. So you can just kind of see how things can like compound.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, you're like, you know what? All right, I'm not going to CrossFit anymore, or I'm going to come in less, or things like that, And really, they're all easily fixable, Like if it's known that, like, no, we are happy you came in, and like maybe we'll try to help you figure out strategies and whatnot, which not everyone who's chronically late is innocent. I should say that too. There are some people who just kind of like,
Yeah.
they just don't have it together, which is a whole nother thing, but then also they have so now, you're chronically late. All right, let them know that we want you to be here and we're glad you made it in. All right, you've got injuries or concerns about certain movements. They should know we always got your back. So you set standards. This is just how it is today in this class, just so we have something to go off of. Make it the RX, make whatever scale is going to be. Have standards for scale too that people can strive to get to. And then just that last little part of like, hey, it isn't a competition. So like if this is the RX in my class and Miguel did something different earlier today, well, if you wanted to compete with those people, you should have went to that class and then told those people, hey, let's race today. Let's do this, because that's not what we're doing. That's not what I'm encouraging at all, and the leaderboard doesn't matter, so, but you should still record your score because that's how we have data to go off of for other stuff. So it's just trying to figure out all those little things that keep people from potentially coming in and sticking with CrossFit and having progressions that, kind of drop people off and meet people at the level that they're at and let them know it's okay, and have everybody do transitions on the low rings. And then you move on to the next step or keep practicing and use wording and verbiage that is inclusive to keep everybody on the same page and feeling good about it, and making sure that their scaling options like kick their butt too. But, it's why it's always a good thing when ring rows pop up as the RX, and it's like, you're all going to learn today. Everybody that has pull-ups, you are about to be on the struggle bus, because all of a sudden, if single unders are the RX and you've been doing double unders for years and you never do single unders, you might struggle, a little bit. We've historically had that happen many, many times where people who had double unders couldn't do a single under to save their life, which it's its own skill on its own, It's just you've graduated to the main, I guess you've graduated to the main CrossFit standard. So I would say single jump roping is big, I think, everywhere else except for CrossFit. CrossFit's like double under. That's our main one, right? Is that? Do you think that's the case?
Yeah, 100%. Because I mean, like boxing, that like skipping type of one, I feel is the most universal versus like straight up single unders, like bounding just once. But yeah, I would say most other sports are like, it's just one time under. Double unders are really not a thing, and anything else.
And it's funny, the David Newman from RX Sports Gear, the jump rope guy, when he came to the gym, he talked about, it's like, all right, we have to do double unders because that's what you guys want. But like, there are so many skills outside of the double. Like the double unders, like like you can get them. You all got them already. You just need to practice and tweak some things in your technique. But like, there's so many things that are like better. And he really advocated skipping with the feet, the boxer style.
Hmm.
And it's like, yeah, that would be so much more beneficial for people. And it's funny, it's like when I have people who don't have double unders scale to like skipping and jogging in place and stuff, you could argue that the coordination to do that is harder than it is to do the
Yeah.
double under. The double under is all timing, and but like if you're skipping alternating feet and you can do that, and all that time you're going to get single leg in between, that adds up and compounds. You could argue you might be getting a better workout than the people that are doing the RX double unders.
Yeah.
Of course, the double under challenges capacity probably way harder, but all the other little neurological coordination stuff that comes with skipping is probably so much more beneficial, especially if you think about like elderly populations. Oh, you're
For sure.
80 and you can skip rope like this. You could find someone in their early 20s that can't do this, and it's going to struggle. That's
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah, that's why it's like such a thing in boxing for sure because of like footwork. Like the way you move, that type of movement is so easily translatable to like all types of movement, like definitely lateral movement, but all types of movement, just like even the opening up of like the ankles and the calves from just going side to side and just like kind of being with your body. But yeah, you're right. Like double unders are more of like a capacity like cardio workout. Like you will for sure feel it in your legs when you have a bunch and in your arms and all that. But yeah, like the skipping is so much coordination for sure.
Yeah. And it's almost like we should maybe be championing the scaled quote movements more and having people
Mm,
do more of them, like ring rows, for example. Like it's very similar to a body row that you do with a bar on a squat rack low that I think is fairly common in like gen pop fitness
yeah.
centers and stuff. People do that exercise often. That might be the go-to for, of course, still for people that don't have pull-ups. So they'll do that or the Gravitron machine or something. And it's like, maybe on ring row day, we should have the people who are doing pull-ups, like, yeah, do like a couple sets of them, and get stronger in that horizontal movement because it's a whole different plane.
Yeah.
And then, of course, does it transfer to the pull-up? So, okay, not really. So maybe doing vertical ring rows is better for people than doing the horizontal ring row. Like the horizontal ring row is like, all right, you just got started or there's an injury or something like that. So it's almost like, why are we using them, as the default for this? Or like the single under is just the automatic default for the double under, which of course double down to single, but there's a million exercises you could be doing. And that might also be a way to keep people engaged with it. So again, they don't see double under day and be like, well, it's been 10 years and I still don't have a double under. So, and I hate double unders and it's a frustrating day. I'm going to spend half my time tripping up on the rope. I'll
Yeah.
skip this day. But if you know that the coaches have more tricks under their sleeves, on all these different variations and it's fun, maybe that'll help them come to class.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's another potential barrier, like the type of scaling option. Oh, pull up day. Sorry, ring row day for me. This is perpetual ring row day. And
Yeah.
that's why I try to tell people don't be married to one scaling option. If you did ring rows last time, do barbell rows this time. Do this, do that. Let's do the box pull up. Different things like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot to think about, like when you lesson plan and when you're going into a class. At any point, am I putting up a barrier that makes this harder than it needs to be? Even if it's just going to be a
Mm,
perceived barrier, even if it's going to be a barrier that I view as ridiculous and silly. All right,
yeah.
that's me, but I'm not the one doing it. So again, you have to also meet people where they are psychologically. And like if you get a group of 20 people together, as a unit they're crazy, and then so individually there's all kinds of little things going on. So there's more things to think about in the situation.
Yeah.
What in terms of scaling, how often are you, and I know it's hard because you only got one day, mainly that you're coaching, and sometimes Cap will go through a thing where it's like, why are we doing the same thing every Sunday? So
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
you might not get variations. It's like, wow, muscle ups and box jumps for the last 4 Sundays. This is going to be fun for Miguel too, coaching it. Which not probably not really. Um, how are you trying to vary the scaling option? Like, because I've been trying to do that a lot more often too, where it's like, hey, this is the RX for my class, but also this is the scaling option for my class. And I might know that like Cap says it's ring rows today and be like, nope, I'm not doing ring rows today. I'm going to challenge myself and also them to do something else that isn't ring rows, just as
Yeah.
an example.
Yeah. I think I've been working on also doing, for the movements that allow it, scaling per individual. Like for rope climbs, let's say, um, beyond like the different heights that you can do. Like some people are doing get ups, and then some people are doing like seated hook and stands, and some people are doing like standing hooks, stand, and then try to move your hands again. Um, and that's really based on like, okay, either I know that, like you said, like sometimes we went through cycles, and it's like, wow, we've done rope climbs 3 times in the past like 2 months. Um, but yeah, like so maybe I'll know specifically for a person where I'm like, you're newer to the rope, and before we even get into pulling strength for you, like let's work on locking in that hook for you so that you feel more comfortable on the rope versus like, okay, you're a person where I think you got the hook down, but that supporting yourself is going to be the issue. So let's work on that. So I've been trying to do just scaling per person as much as I can and as much as the movement allows it. It's a little bit harder with things like just straight up pull-ups, and ring rows are a lot of times the other answer. There's the adjustable and all that, but yeah, whenever I can, I try to do it per individual. Like, what are you specifically working on? And like, what do I see that can like actually make this not just a scaling option, but like a progression to the next option for you, which might be the
Yeah.
full movement, which might be another scaling option.
And it might even be two things that come together to make the whole. Um, like we've talked about, like, okay, you're still working on handstand push-ups, or even getting upside down inverted. Maybe your scaling is going to be dumbbell presses seated and a 10-second handstand hold. This
Yeah.
is something that Pamela Gagnon talked a lot about last year during the CrossFit Games in the coaching conferences. And I really liked that approach. Like, okay, you're going to do 10 ring rows, then you're going to go to the pull-up bar and work on your kipping, or you're going to hang. And so instead of just having it be only one thing, which some workouts are going to need that, but there's going to be a lot of other workouts that like open themselves up to creating a little bit more options or being more creative with it, where you have the time to do it. And it's worked out well all the different times that I've done that. We just had a workout recently that was like 5 rounds of a 50-foot handstand walk and 20 step ups,
Mm.
unweighted, just box step ups. And I really liked that workout because the box step up, what a what kind of an underutilized movement in CrossFit overall. That if there was one movement that was kicked to the curb to just be a perpetual scaling option, it's kind of the step up, right?
Yeah.
Like it, especially unweighted, it never gets to be the hero. It's always just, like grab dumbbells and step over the box or do
Yeah.
this or do that. Or, I know there's Chad, but even that's weighted and also to an excessive amount of 1,000 step ups,
Right.
but like just having it just pop up in there. I'm like, okay, you're going to do 5 pull-ups, 10 push-ups, 20 step-ups alternating for 20 minutes. That would be a spicy workout, and you can also work on your cadence and footwork and speed of getting up and down on the box. It might even be more beneficial to do than box jumps. It probably is. overall, if we really think about it. So it's just
Yeah.
funny how it never pops up, but it did this one day, and I was like, yeah, that's awesome that they did that. And then it got me thinking, why don't we do that more often? Because everyone's perception of this exercise is not what it should be. And there are programs out there that use weighted step ups, which, with a barbell on your back to gain strength.
Yeah.
A little harder for us with those soft boxes. That's where it kind of gets sketchy with the soft boxes. Um, but that workout, I had people who were still working on doing handstand walking. Either, we went over a ton of different scaling options, and some people were like, "Can I do all of them?" And I was like, "Yeah." Do bear crawls one round, do around the world on the box the next round, do wall walks the third round. Why not? Why not have it be fun? Why not do different things?
Right.
Because otherwise, that could become a very boring workout very very quickly. Of just doing bear crawls and stepping up on the box. So yeah, and when people like, I'll suggest that, and then when people come to me with their amalgam of different scaling options, one for each round, you know what they are, Miguel? They're excited about it. They're like, all right,
Right.
here's the idea.
Yeah.
Here's the idea I got. I'm going to do wall walks on the odd rounds. I'm going to go around the world on the even rounds. I'm like, this is beautiful. Yes, do it. Because then the next time they see handstand walking, they're like, that's the day I'm coming in. All right, I had some input on that day. But
Yeah.
I had other people do, instead of just the wall walks, because I think the scaling option was 2 wall walks. Do the wall walk, but then add a hold at the end of it. You're gonna, on every wall walk, a 10-second hold, or 20 or 10 shoulder taps. Because they would have gone too fast. Then it would have,
Yeah.
because you also have to make sure this isn't just perpetual 10 minutes of box step ups, because that's also a problem you could come in to contact with your scaling. Oh crap, that didn't really match the time it's going to take for Miguel to be on the rings to do muscle ups. Now this person's we're really just doing burpees with like a
Yeah.
little rest of going to the rings. So you got to watch out for that too.
Yeah.
So are you trying to build scaling options with, like, okay, I want you to do like two get ups and then 2 foot wraps, like kind of combining things to make the whole skill.
Yeah. And I think it's kind of like what you said with getting away from leaderboard in terms of like racing and making classes like you're training, like just you're training this movement or like you're working the things to make this thing stronger is the way that like I want people to look at classes a little bit more. So yeah, like you're saying, like mixing it up and feeling, even like getting an awareness of like what this full movement would be working if you were doing the full thing. So yeah, mixing it up, sometimes working on reps, sometimes working on the actual pulling through a get up or something, just to feel the stimulus of the full movement to get an idea of, okay, if I was doing just straight up rope climbs today, here's what I would feel in my arms and my lats and in my legs and my quads as I am like squeezing and doing all these things. And yeah, whatever can get people to feel that kind of stimuli. And also, like you were saying too, like have them be curious of the work themselves, and kind of play around with different things, like be a little bit more curious instead of like just trying to get the work done as quick as possible.
All right.
Oh, echoey.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're really echoey though.
Okay.
No.
No.
Seems like I can hear back. Okay, yeah. It seems like it's coming out as something different though. No, can't hear you. But it seems like the background noise is gone. Yeah, I can't hear you though.
How about now?
Yep.
Holy. Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right. We'll see if that holds. If not, I might just have to restart the browser. Now you're all green, but I think that's my end problem, not your end problem. All right, there we go. Boy, that was crazy. Just the computer just bam went black, just completely out.
Mm.
And then, of course, when it reboots, every little thing is like rebooting really slow. This laptop's almost done.
Yep.
It's reminding me now. It's like, would you like to buy another one? I'm like, no, I do not want to buy another laptop, not anytime soon. So, all right, we're back. What were you saying?
Yeah, I guess it was what was it? It was mixing up the scaling, right? It was mixing up scaling so that yeah, what I was saying was mixing up scaling so that people can kind of just feel the full stimulus of the movement as if they were going, to do the full movement and kind of looking at this as classes like training, like you're building on top of things. You're supposed to feel things and like kind of feel yourself getting stronger instead of just racing. Essentially, was what I was getting at.
Yeah, yeah. Scaling in that way lets us to continue to build the skills versus okay, the 7 to 8 minutes that we spent on skills practice, that's gone now. Now you're just doing something for just the metabolic training. Like, all right, ring rows are just going to help me do some kind of upper body pull and go fast, but it's not going to help me get that pull up. Versus if I did vertical ring rows and then some kip practice on the pull up bar or something, that might help me put pulling and bar and grip strength and everything together more.
Yeah. Yep.
I feel like my camera's really zoomed in right now, but I'm not going to do anything to mess with it. So, uh, yes. How do we get here, Murph? So setting the standards that. So we survived Memorial Day, Murph. Awesome. You did a half, Murph. You were a little sore after it,
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
but it was modified in a way that helped to support your goal for your triathlon versus taking away from it, which is another thing that we want to consider when we're modifying things for class. Like, what is your actual goal? Can we
Right.
train for things in class that are not really associated with class? Can we still make this work? And the answer is yes. You know, we can still do all this. Even let's say you had a weightlifting meet you were training for, and the workout's Isabel. All right, can we modify that workout to prepare you better for what you're going to do on event day? We can. It means that we're not going to approach it in the way that we normally would. Maybe we even adjust the reps. Maybe we have it be more of 30 technical reps, something that supports your goal versus just only the metabolic thing, and CrossFit's really versatile in how we can use it and train it for everybody in the room. It doesn't, but people maybe just associate the WOD with I'm on my back, staring at the ceiling, covered in sweat. There's a sweat puddle underneath me, and I'm gasping for air, and I can't remember my name.
Yep.
Yes, that is some days, but it doesn't have to be every day. Like, that's not the only end result, So there's a lot of different ways we can do it. Remember that old benchmarks article that Glassman wrote where he would have some people do Diane of like, all right, you're going to do 7 sets of 3. And that's how we're training to use 225. But obviously the intensity is going to go down. Like the intensity doesn't have to always be the top build thing that what we're doing. Any way that you do these workouts, if you do the circuit, even though you're not doing 30 reps of each exercise, if you're just doing 10, I guarantee you're going to start sweating. You're going to start breathing heavy. You're going to start feeling your muscles. You just might be able to approach it in a different way. So it's good that we don't forget that there's a million ways we could modify this. We just had a hero workout last week, which was 5 rounds, 30 reps each exercise. What was the first exercise? It's burpees, GHD sit-ups, and kettlebell swings. And so it's like, all right, if you do 5 rounds of 10, let's say that was the workout. That's still a hard workout.
Yep.
You only do the volume if you can do 20 reps or 30 reps fast in that time frame. Mm-hmm. But for some people, it might just be 10. And if we programmed it as just 10 reps, boy, everybody would be feeling it, Sometimes that's what you got to do. So you did that. Did you do unpartitioned or still sets and reps?
Yeah, did it unpartitioned.
What was your Murph?
Time?
No, the format. What'd you do?
Oh yeah. So I did the full 1 mile run, 50 pull-ups, 100 push-ups, 150 air squats, and then 1 mile run.
There you go. And those runs, huge because you've got your triathlon coming up. So you might as well run the 2 miles, and also see what it's like to do that second one when you're really, really tired.
Right.
I mean, there's a huge difference, but like, at least now, okay, because the run's the last part of the triathlon. So you didn't do the big bike ride or have the swim beforehand, but you did have another mile run earlier, plus hundreds of reps of just moving your body. So it was good triathlon training for you on that day. And just on the outside looking in, maybe no one would ever know that, right? Like, oh, he's just doing Murph. You're always scaling it, but you're scaling it in a way that benefits your bigger goal than just doing it for the sake of doing it. Because you've also got training the next day and the next day and the next day.
Right. Yeah. that was it as well. Of like, okay, I still trained so that was a Monday. So I ran the day before and the Saturday before. Yeah. So it's like, yeah, my training's not stopping, and it I didn't want it to stop the day after either. So yeah.
Yeah. So it's like you used CrossFit in a way that made sense for you. You know, I did 8 minutes of farmers carries for the bookend 1 mile runs, and then for the middle portion, I did 20 rounds of 5 hollow rocks full instead of tucked, 10 Superman rocks, and 30 Russian twists. So, and I did 30 because I was like, well, it'd be kind of lame if I only did 300 Russian twists. Like that would have made it easier, but
Mm.
but having it be per side, I felt was a little bit better. And it took, I think, 43 minutes to do all that with the, mandatory 16 minutes of farmers carrying. So
Yeah.
it kind of felt like it balanced out on like what a Murph time should be too. It
Mhm.
wasn't, whereas like if I was doing 15 Russian twists, I would have finished so much earlier. But each time I was getting to that station, I was like, well, one, I want to do them unbroken. So I did everything unbroken too, which meant like, all right, let's get ready here. Let's make sure I'm balanced, touching both hands and all that stuff, adjusting the tempo. I would maybe do like just getting into it. If I jumped into it from the Superman rocks, I would do 10 slow, then 5 fast, and then 5
Yeah.
slow, and then 10 fast. Like just playing around with that. And like I would do the same thing on the air squats. Like, all right, let's just start squatting, just getting reps booked. And then I can pick it up a little bit here towards the end, and then I'm on to the next station. So felt like it worked out really well. And I wasn't too sore after it until I didn't feel the hollow rocks until Friday, if you can believe that.
Mm.
The Russian twist, I definitely felt. I felt like, oh, my obliques are sore. The Superman rocks, not so much. Didn't really feel those. And I thought I got away with not feeling the hollow rocks until Friday's workout was I had to do 100 sit-ups for time. And everything else throughout the week was still more oblique work and
Mm.
Superman arch type work. So I thought, all right, I escaped. And then I started to do the sit-ups and I was like, oh, there they are. And I've been so
Yeah.
sore this entire weekend in the front from the sit-ups because I had to fight for my life on these 100 sit-ups. I missed my 100 sit-up PR by 3 seconds. And I didn't look
Mm.
in advance to see what it was. But like I definitely, when I looked back, I did 100 unbroken back when I did that last year. This one, I did 50 sit-ups. Then I fought for 10, 10, 15, 15. So
Mhm.
I broke it up on purpose because I was like, I found the hollow rocks. I found them now,
Yep.
days later. So it's just funny how sometimes the soreness, like you don't even think it's there. You don't even feel it on something simple like a hollow rock until you need to crunch and do it again. And it was way past the 48-hour mark. So I was
Yeah.
just surprised by that. I'm like, I didn't think this would be an issue. And it certainly was.
Mhm.
So yeah, scaling Murph to fit my goals. I'm like, all right, well, I'm not doing push-ups, pull-ups, or squats today. We'll do it that way, and it worked out. So just
Yeah.
gotta make CrossFit work for you, and you can still participate. Any other thoughts on any of that stuff? Just scaling, obstacles, Murph, any of that?
No, I think it was overall Murph was great. Like you said, I think it was like really efficient. Like we said, like I think every year it's been getting even more and more, and people have their ideas, and I think everyone's doing everything. Like I think we're getting to a point of like more appropriate. We're getting to a point of like everyone's picking things that make sense.
Yeah, yeah. I did far less hand holding this year than in previous years. Typically, I'll message everybody over the course of a weekend and be like, what's your plan? How about you do this, whatnot? And this time I was like, you know what? I'm not going to do that. I'm going to trust that all of you have read the document that's been up since April 1st, and because the information's been out there. Having that dedicated page in Wi-Fi to Murph, I felt helped a lot. And then even with the briefing, I kept the briefing way more simple. Like normally I would have the board, which means I have all the scaling written out and all that stuff.
Right.
And this time I was just like, let me just mention what we could do, and everybody picked well, and the few people that didn't, I was able to kind of catch early on and make adjustments. But yeah, it worked out perfectly, and making things easier so that they don't have to think about, hey, the ring's already set, just lay back, and then having you demo. If it feels too easy, walk your feet forward. Look, you just saw Miguel do it. Walk your feet back if it's too hard. Just reminding people that they can do those things. So it went really, really smoothly, and it was still a lot of work, but less work on my part on that stuff. I was like, you know what? I already have the room set up and I'm there. So as you walk in, what's your plan? No, do this, or how about we modify to that? Just kind of catch people as they come in. So it was good. It was one of our smoothest years, I feel. And I got a lot of good compliments from it on the people that from the members, but like the people that aren't always in, or they only come for this event. They're like, I got a lot of good compliments on how all that ran. So
yeah.
Post Murph, we have she might be in tomorrow, Monday, but we've said goodbye to Jennifer. Very sad, moving to San Francisco to pursue new opportunities in her career field as a surgeon now that she's graduated from Albany Medical College. So we said goodbye to her on Friday with something new. I normally I'll ask people, is there anything that you want to do on your last day? A special workout, could be a benchmark, something like that. And Jennifer said deadlifts, and I was like, well, we kind of need a little more than that. Are there any other movements? Maybe we could do a total. And then Jennifer came up with her own wacky total, as she said, of a snatch balance, a fat grips, bench press, and a deadlift. And the best score from each of those gives you your total for, quote, Jennifer's total. So that might be a new tradition on just like, hey, let's pick 3 moves, one squat, one press, one pull. Pick your favorites, pick ones that, one your favorite, one that you want to make everyone do, whatever it may be. But I thought that was a fun goodbye on just a custom total. What do you think about that?
Yeah. No, it was cool because when else are we gonna do those 3 together? But it also seemed like something that we could do. Like it made sense to go from like squat rack to bench to pulling. Yeah.
And what a nice a nice way, like just kind of from my perspective of like sending Jennifer off, and like Jennifer created that workout and be like, all right, you can make like, even though like they may be like kind of obscure movements because of the fat grips, but like Jennifer could go find a barbell in a gym and be like, what would we do? And then do it, and like have that knowledge and background experience to like recreate it almost, or to make something that makes sense, So like, all right, look at that. We did prepare you, you're so right. So it's like, it's just that nice thing of like, I bet Jennifer could go out to a gym out there, some random CrossFit gym, and be looking from across the room and seeing people, and like the errors that they're making on their lifts will pop out to Jennifer. Oh, that guy should probably do this or that, or, just be in a position to give some advice or look like she knows what she's doing, because she does know what she's doing. And if she has to create a workout on her own, be like, oh, I need a snatch, I need a clean and jerk, I need a squat. That's what we would normally do. Like, and just put it all together, whatever. And it's, even though it might be snatch, balance, fat grips, bench press, deadlift, close grip, it makes sense still, So I was happy thinking about that. I'm like, Jennifer is ready to go out there into the world and survive on barbell stuff, And no doubt, if she joined a team, be like, these people aren't cool because I know what cool is because we are cool, or something like that. So it was fun. What you think experiencing the total? It's been a while since we've done heavy snatch balances.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I had no clue what to expect because it's definitely been a while.
And you PR'd?
Yeah, I mean, that was the thing too of like each individual movement. I honestly don't know the last time I did do that one CrossFit class workout with like the 3 heavy deadlifts. And that was the last time I like deadlifted heavy. But other than that, like the other movements for sure I haven't touched in a very long time.
Yeah. And you PR'd the snatch balance and you were 15 pounds under your PR on the bench press, so it's just funny. You've been doing all this endurance work, but like your strength is still there. Like it's funny how like those things, they don't fully go away. It may not feel perfect, but you're only like a week or two away of consistent training them for it to feel back probably to close to normal.
Yeah. It was
So
fun.
hopefully that gives you good confidence when you jump back in for states on like, all right, it's not going to be recreating everything and learning it all from scratch again. It's still going to be there,
Yeah.
You're still exposed to them. Yeah. So yeah, goodbye to Jennifer, or maybe we'll see you later. It is better. Maybe not fully goodbye. She might pop in on Monday, and if not, I feel like we had a nice, good send off. So that was good.
Yeah.
And that's kind of it. What else we got going on? Oh, the enhanced games. So you watched some clips of that? What were your thoughts?
Yeah. I mean, what I've been saying the entire time. Yeah, they did it. They had the event
they
for
did
sure.
Yeah.
That's about
I think
how exciting it was.
I think the venue looks awesome. And it's like, okay, why can't it's money, but like that would be cool if you could do that with other things. Like imagine the Olympics like that, where it's like one big awesome arena like that with a track and this pool in the middle and stuff like that, So as spectacle wise, they put on a nice show. For the weightlifters, a lot of PRs, and a lot of people PRing. Like they haven't PR'd in like 8 years. Their last big lifts were like 2019 or something like that. So that was cool to see. All right, it worked. You guys got some PRs and going for big lifts. I did think it was cool. Dylan Cooper's comeback. I think it was the snatch. I think he was, or it could have been the clean jerk. He was going to bomb out on one of them, and then he came back and made it for a PR. So I thought that was cool. I don't really follow him too much, so like I really just know just the bare bones about him. The other sports, it was weird with there weren't that many athletes as I thought there were going to be. That was like one weird thing. Yeah, it's like, there's only 3 women for weightlifting. There's only 4 guys in the pool. Things like that.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess the biggest thing for me is that they had clean athletes, and that some of the clean athletes were the ones winning. I mean, that part wasn't surprising, but like that they even had them competing. But yeah, I mean, it was interesting. It went about, they kind of started to switch the narrative, or at least like people were finding like the silver lining. Like you said, like some of these athletes haven't PR'd in years, and like some of them probably found like a love for training their sport again. And, that's cool. And I think even just the payment as well of like, hey, even if they didn't break the records, whatever, they still got paid probably more than they have in their career. And that's an important thing as well. So yeah, I think that was cool. But I don't know. like what the messaging, because their whole thing is like, oh, if everyone's cheating, like they're selling their product and they're like, well, we're going to make it safe, you know, for these athletes to do
Yeah.
and more regulated, I guess. But yeah, I mean, you're getting retired athletes and people who were never really top athletes anyway, and then trying to make a spectacle out of it. I guess they're also trying to appeal to more like elite level with like more money. I don't know if you saw the like beat Usain Bolt's record and get $10 million. So
I didn't see that.
they're trying to
That's
do
cool,
that
though.
for they're trying to do that for the next one. But I mean, yeah, I don't know.
Well,
I think it just opens up this thing of like, well, you expect me to believe that Usain Bolt's clean if no one, even now that they're taking these, can beat him? And it's like, I don't know, like what are we trying to say? I don't like I've never liked the idea that like everyone's cheating all the time. It's like you're not even getting the best people to then, that's like giving me those and being like, can you beat Hampton Morris? And it's like, no, I can't. You can give me all the stuff that you want. I'm still not going to.
Hey,
but
there's only one way to find out, though. We don't know for
Right.
sure. We don't know for
One
sure.
day.
Get some bionic knees, you know?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, there's so many different perspectives that you can have on it, and I think they do need to get like their mission statement and all that stuff like better. And I
Yeah.
think they should lean into the fact of like, all right, let's because it's been talked about for decades on like what if, you know? So here we are now on what if, and someone actually wants to pay money to see the what if. Fine. All right, let's find out. So like lean into like, all right, we're gonna try to discover the absolute limits of human capacity. We're doing it in a controlled way. So it's not a free for all for the drugs, which I didn't know that going in. So like I learned a lot watching the broadcast. I'm like, okay, they have doctors and specific protocols. And I guess technically if you do stuff outside those protocols, you are cheating within the enhanced games because you're doing it outside of things. It is good that it's monitored by doctors and their health and all that stuff. And hey, they're adults making adult decisions. Cool, fine. I'm okay with that. You know, it's your freedom to do that. I did like how the one weightlifter from Nigeria, she's like, I really appreciate being given like a second chance, you know, because I know in a lot of those countries, once you're done, your country and NGB kind of like they just wave goodbye and you go back to your village or you go back to obscurity working. And it's like, how many countries I wonder can you go to and find like former Olympians working at a gas station or working in a grocery store or something, and you know, or not really being taken care of after the fact, after they were essentially used, you know. So it's like you can like even clean sport uses athletes to a certain extent, and there's still no fix for that, you know. Like your image is used on the posters and stuff. You never saw a dime from it, you know, and now here you are living in poverty and you're still talked about in the sport even and stuff, especially if you have records, yet they don't care about you as the person. You know, you just were the tool that got that, you know, for them.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting, and I don't blame any of those athletes for being like, hey, I haven't weightlifted in 8 years and I'm 38 and I have no money and I have a family. I'm going to go get that money. And I'm like, yes, you should go get that money. It's fine. I did like the fact that there were clean athletes participating too. And that's an interesting thing. I kind of think that clean athletes should be allowed to qualify and participate. And because they're still being drug tested by WADA and USADA and stuff. So why can't you go get that money? Like, think about all the issues we hear about, and we don't know the true facts overall, but we hear about the issues with USAW funding athletes. Okay, well, if Miguel is on Team USA and he's totally clean, but he gets offered to go do this essentially an expo. It's just it's not even really a competition. It's just a, a show off these sports and stuff and performances, and they're going to pay you $200,000. Like, you're going to tell Miguel not to go get that money, and then maybe that helps on the federation side. All right, Miguel, you can do that. We're only giving you 10 grand a year anyways to do this training, which isn't a lot. Go get paid, but you better be clean because we're still going to test you, all that stuff.
Yeah, but they would never allow that, really.
It's,
like weightlifting, like it's very much like old guardy of like sanctity of whatever, or like this is making a mockery, which there's an argument for, but yeah, I mean,
I think
ideally,
it's close-minded.
Yeah. I think it's
because how many people were exposed to weightlifting that day from the enhanced games that wouldn't have been otherwise?
Yeah, I mean, listen, if the mission of like paying these athletes and everything was like sincere, like for everyone who's able to take advantage of it, for sure, that's awesome. But it's like, that's not what the enhanced games are trying. Like, again, that's their secondary thing. Like, I was watching clips of like how they kind of switched in broadcasting, how they kind of talked about things once it seemed like nobody was beating records. And yeah, I mean, their first thing is to sell that product. Like, you go to their website and it literally is like, what does it say? Their tagline is like, there's more, get enhanced, and then you click on it. So, I mean, that's their thing. They're trying to sell products. But if people are able to take advantage of that, like getting paid stuff, that's awesome. But I mean, that's not their goal. They'll never be able to convince me that that's their goal.
Yeah, I've seen that stuff and heard that stuff too, where it's like they're gonna roll out supplements and stuff like that, and it's like, and but also like, I guess you got to sell something to keep funding this because the billionaires probably can't do it forever or aren't going to want to do it forever. So you got to have some kind of revenue stream. I get that.
But I mean, like, it wasn't like they're funding this and then they're like, oh, we have to keep this running, so let's sell a product. It was always to sell a product first.
Yes.
Like, I mean, like, if it doesn't take off, everybody's selling another enhanced games. But like, if they get people to, because I mean, I'm on their website right now. It's probably like those like Hims commercials that you see on Hulu all the time. It's like, you can probably just not even put in that much information and they'll be like, yeah, you can get testosterone, all this stuff. Why not? So, I mean, like, they make enough money, we'll see the enhanced games continue for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, it's what? All right. Steroids. People are going to do them. You could probably go to any weight room in a 20-mile radius and find something. Kids are going to do them, like in high school and stuff. There's all kinds of pressure for college, sports, that kind of thing, right? Maybe this is, if you look at like some kind of silver lining, if they're getting it from a more trusted source than amongst each other, and who knows where things are coming from, or off the internet and shady websites, maybe that's better, and it's regulated or something like that. Not saying this is what I want to happen. I'm just saying the reality of now versus maybe this is how you can kind of button that up a little bit, because it is a thing that they are going to take them. Like, look at SUNY Cortland. Let's go to the SUNY Cortland football team, and we're going to test everybody. Is everyone testing clean, Miguel? Highly doubt it.
See, I don't know. Maybe I haven't bumped into the right people.
Highly doubt it. So maybe that helps that, and people do things in a more responsible way. Right? I know there's the argument of like, oh, they're encouraging people to take things. I think they got to watch out for that and to not do that. But then again, there's it's funny how people really do like get their feathers all ruffled with like testosterone and stuff. Yet it's amazing the things that they will allow. It's like, well, my son going to parties and getting blackout drunk all the time. Totally normal thing. It's a totally normal thing of getting older and social and whatnot. And or my kid smokes, I'm okay with that. Or it's just funny the things that parents will allow, but then they're like, oh, I gotta draw a line on that this testosterone thing. So I don't know. I think if you have good relationships with your child and you talk to them and you go through all these things, that could help. I wonder how many are cases of like, well, you don't even know who your kids' friends are, let alone knowing what they're taking stuff. So I don't know. I'm not totally sold on the thing that the reason we shouldn't do this is because of kids. And that's what people always throw up as the blanket thing of like, well, you can't do it because the kids will hear about it and they'll want to do it. It's like, all right, well, talk to them and all, because I remember like we went through so many like don't do drugs courses during when I was in middle school and high school, and even before middle school. In the 5th grade, we had the DARE program. Remember DARE? Yeah. Do you know how many people I graduated with that eventually took stuff the second they could, and all the parties and everything? None of that worked. I mean, I didn't take anything, but I mean, like, but it's amazing how like, all right, the stuff you are doing for the other things isn't working either. Yet you're like vilifying this one thing more than you're vilifying that. You should be more against your kids doing hard drugs or getting crazily, drunk in unsupervised situations, and then other bad things happen. So it's just funny, the whole moral standpoint of it. I don't get, So I'm not going to hold any of these athletes, like I don't think West Kitts is promoting kids doing drugs. I don't think that's what he's doing or any of those other athletes are doing. Right. So I don't get that side of the argument, especially if the people making the argument either don't have kids. So it's like, what are you even talking about? You don't have any experience with this, or you do, yet you still are okay giving your kids alternative poisons. You're fine giving your kids McDonald's all the time. You're fine buying the cereals and the snacks and other stuff, which is like poison. You're not even feeding them real food. So I don't know. It's probably a longer discussion. I don't get it. So we'll see. We'll see if I guess we'll have to see first if they're going to do it, right? Again.
Yeah, it seems like they are, but I mean, who knows when or who they'll get. It doesn't seem like they'll get more names, to be honest. So yeah, I don't know.
I kind of see it becoming a thing where, yes, there are going to be people who are taking things and they're trying to push their personal limits. I could see it also being a thing where, you got together like generations of goats or all these, and they're all clean. And they're like, yeah, we're just using this as like a PR kind of a day or like a go heavy kind of a day or something. Like I could kind of see it like being like more of a spectacle on like, wait, you got all these guys together that normally we wouldn't see together? That's kind of cool too. Right. You got to pay them, but it's kind of like, all right, we're going to get all these current and past stars together, and some of them are taking stuff, some of them aren't. And we're being very transparent with all that, which I do like that they are. That's at least one thing you could say about it. Like there have been points in time where the sport of weightlifting was essentially a science experiment, and it wasn't transparent. At least now you're saying, oh, okay, we're doing this or we're not, and we are testing still, and blah blah. It's funny too. The people. It's weird seeing people who are against it and very vocal, yet you'll also see them in the same vein champion people that we know are taking or have been caught taking before. And it's like, well, but they're still like everyone who loves Lasha was popped. Yet he is praised and won't get a press out call. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
But you're saying that's the pinnacle of our sport. He was popped, and we're just like saying he's clean now, definitely. It's like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Doesn't that kind of seem a little weird? Can you justify it?
Um, like I said, I mean, I don't always love the idea that like everyone who's good is taking. Um, I don't know. I think that's kind of reductive, but I think also it's like I also don't care, I guess, in the point of like who is and isn't taking. Um, Overall, like I don't really care all that much, but I do think it's like they're not gonna trick me. Enhanced games, like that's my the only thing that I have with it is like don't act like you're not trying to sell a product. That is literally my only thing with it is like you're trying to sell a product. Just say you're trying to sell a product and I'm cool. Don't act like
Okay.
it's anything other than that. Like I don't really mind the taking. Like yeah, I don't care about the anybody taking. I but then it like my only thing is like the spin then. Don't be like, look, I took stuff and I still couldn't beat the people I couldn't beat 10 years ago. So they had to have been cheating. I don't like that stuff. But
Yeah.
like if you're gonna take it, that's fine. I don't care. But yeah, for the enhanced games themselves, I'm like, you are selling a product, say you're selling a product. You're not gonna secret capitalism me because I know exactly what you're doing. That's my
Yeah.
only thing. Where I'm like, this is cool, this is whatever, it looks great whatever you guys are doing this, you guys are not, whatever. You're selling a product. Just say that. And I do that with
Yeah.
like any fitness influencer in general, where I'm like, oh, the only reason you won is because you're wearing frog grips. Is that why? Like,
Yeah.
you're
Well,
not
the
gonna
same
trick.
thing. The same thing happened, like right around 2019, where that it was a Netflix documentary film on vegan athletes, and
Yeah, right.
it's like, all right, you didn't compete as a vegan athlete, and now you're telling us to eat this way because you eat this way
Yeah,
now, and that was a whole thing. It's like, yeah, I just don't like the people who are getting on the athletes because I have the most sympathy for the athletes, and it's also
oh yeah, for
you
sure.
you can not tell me that you would not take life changing money for something that's like so benign. It's like people getting on West Kits about it. The dude retired the correct way from USA weightlifting and severed all ties. And he was very vocal about the financial issues he had with it. I don't know the whole story. I don't know both sides. I only know his and a little bit
Mhm.
of the federations. But like, I do see that he's got 3 kids. So it's like if they're like, "Hey, we're going to give you $200,000 to fly you out here, pay for your training and all that stuff, and we're going to give you that paycheck after it." I don't know how much it was. I'm just guessing. Um, yeah, I could see how he's like, I could see how that decision was not made for him. That decision was made for
Right.
his family. I'm like, well, how else am I going to get that big of money? I'm going to fly around, do seminars and stuff, like which he could do and he still is doing. But like, no one's going to do that. Or the lady from Nigeria, who doesn't have probably the biggest bank account. Because how much were
Yeah.
they paying her when she was breaking records or competing? So now it's like this is life changing money for a population that we know historically doesn't make life changing money in their sports. At least not every country. So I can't blame any of them for doing that.
Right.
Look at the Solises, like Lady Solis and her brother. That's I mean I'm sure that both of their paychecks are going to go a long way for helping their families in Colombia.
Yeah.
You know, plus it was cool to see her again. That was a big
Mhm.
name back in the day. Um, I had actually had forgotten about her, and I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't realize she stopped. That was one of those weird
Mhm.
things where it's like compete at 2019 Worlds, 2020 happened, and like a lot of people faded away in that
Right.
two
Yeah.
years. Um, so yeah, I just like don't don't blame the don't blame the player. Don't blame the athletes.
Right.
They're
Yeah.
getting
Yeah.
paid, and you would too. Like if I
Mhm.
got a message and they're like, James, we saw some of your lifts and whatnot. Like, we're gonna give you that. Like, yeah, I would do it. I'm like, wait a minute. Are you sure are you sure it was me? You're going to pay me this money? I'm like, yeah, we just want you to be there. I'm like, all right. I can't promise anything, but here's my bank account information. And yes, I'll be there.
Right.
Yeah. And then guess I should retire. All right. Stepping down as New York, whatnot. Like, all right, work as volunteer for another year and a half or make life change. What would anyone expect me to do? What would be the stupid situation in that situation or the thing to do? To not do it, right?
Yeah.
I would assume. Yeah. Any of you guys on the team got a call. Be like, all right. We'll deal with it. We'll help you on the side and whatnot. But yes, you should go and do that. That's how I feel about it. Now, on the whole, if I don't know if Leda Solis is going to pop up in a commercial and be like, you should take this to be exactly like me. Now, all right, come on. They're not. Oh, I know. Well, that's. I'm
sure necessarily like that. Promos were already filmed. You'll see it on Hulu soon.
Let's see on Hulu soon. Any other thoughts on the enhanced games?
No, I mean, yeah. Again, it went exactly as I expected.
Yeah, we'll continue to.
People got paid, so yay.
Yeah, we'll continue to follow it. People got paid. I didn't get paid though. Come on. All right. Figure that out. That's the thing. We didn't get paid. But we'll continue to monitor the story, I guess. And yes, I don't want to assume that everyone's taking. That's like a negative weightlifting thing, isn't it? Like, I don't know if it's like that in other sports, but again, we have the history of we've had to reset this sport so many times already because of it,
right?
So, and also it's like a distrust of other countries. It's like, what are they doing over there?
Mm-hmm.
All right, and also it's also because we're coming from a country that has been really trying to do it the right way, and our people have been like just destroyed if you did do it,
right,
in the past. So maybe this is an outlet now where people can have their cake and eat it too, kind of. You know. But we'll see what continues to happen with it. And I think that's it, right? There's a bunch of CrossFit stuff going on right now, but I don't know. Do you know anything? What's happening with any of
that? Syndicate Crown women just finished. So 3 qualifying for that. I think they had 3 teams there. The men, the top 3 are going to go soon. All I know out of Madrid is that Gabby Magala qualified. I'm not sure if they had 1 or 3 spots, but I think she won after her Achilles injury, so she's back. Justin Medeiros didn't qualify through Torium Pro last week. 3 Australians did, though. I mean, it's tough to go into Australia and beat 3, probably, if not all podium finishers, top 5, all of them, games athletes.
Oh my God! So, why did he go to do that one?
Well, his girlfriend Ellie is from Australia.
But that doesn't mean you need to do that one.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a tough one, but we'll see. He'll probably try to hop into one of the. I think there's one more week of in-person semifinals, and then they have the online as the last chancey one. So yeah,
I don't know why it feels like this is taking forever this year. I feel it's probably the same schedule,
so extended, and it feels like it's every weekend now. Something. So yeah, we'll see.
It does feel like it's every weekend, which kind of makes me tune out because I'm all right. When's the stream? It's 3 p.m. Other things, or they're happening, when other things are going on, and I don't know who's going, and I don't want to watch heats of people that I don't know. I just want to see just those select people. So I just kind of tune out from all of it, and that is disappointing about Justin Medeiros, though. Oh my, if he does, that's going to be, isn't that going to be weird if he doesn't make the games?
They only get 30 spots, and right now with Syndicate Crown on, there are a good amount of women that we've seen in like the top 10 who have not yet qualified.
I did see
I don't know
Daniel
how it's going to
Brandon
shake
didn't
out.
qualify at one of them.
Yeah, she didn't. I think she just qualified for Syndicate. I think she got third, barely.
Oh,
Um, but like there are like other people like Alexis Raptis and like other pretty big names that are like, yeah, if you get anything less than top 3 at these events, like you're not gonna go. Especially if you bank on one and don't make it, like you maybe get one more shot.
yeah. I don't want to fault the system because you just didn't perform the best.
Yeah.
Like it's not like I don't want to be in a thing of like, all right, because I know your name and you're always there means you're entitled to always be there. Oh, you got to have this guy there. You got to have that lady there. So, and who knows? The people that are qualifying, one of them could be the next champion. You know, like they trained harder. They're the next up and coming person. So, the people whose names we don't know, I don't want to discount them either. That's how we discovered Justin and Danielle in the first place. First you were a no name, now you're known. But it is interesting. I wonder if it is the format, if it's, I don't want to say it's the workouts because like again, if you're the top, you should. It doesn't matter what test comes up, you should be doing it. So or maybe some of these people they expected they would automatically because they're also used to always going and they don't train as hard. Do you think that could be a thing where it's like, oh, you don't realize, like you didn't notice the people that were nipping at your heels and now they're healed.
Yeah.
They're here.
I think some people maybe just aren't even choosing the right battles. I mean, it all goes back to like monetary sometimes. I mean, one of them was in South Africa and there's only one women's spot and one men's spot. I think the same in the Asia one men's spot, one women's spot.
And
it's
like, you got to be there to take that spot. Like I wouldn't like it if like Justin flew out there and he just smokes everybody. They can't do that, right?
People will do that because they know, like, why am I going to go to Mayhem? It's the first one, but all the women that finished in the top 10 of the games are also there. I'm not going to get in. Or like you might, but you're like, I have to put it all out in there. So maybe it's like, let's hope they keep this and don't change it again, the format. But if they do, maybe next year people will like pick their battles a little bit more, a little smarter.
All right. So I guess they're allowing it where you can do as many of them as you want. It's just on you to pay to go do all those. But also, so you can't have it be, all right, Miguel's from the Northeast, so he can only go to these, because some regions of the world are going to be more stacked than others. So it's just impossible. If 10 of the best in the world, so if 10 of the best in the world are on the West Coast and you're only taking 3, you're guaranteeing that 7 of the best in the world can't go to the games unless they travel. But if they do travel and they go to a place where like it is like South Africa or some other place, and you only give that spot 1, you're never going to get stars from those places. You're like, you're never going to, so what a mess still kind of, or what a just weird format.
Yeah. I mean, there's always going to be some issue, but I mean, like there was like the California super regional back in the day where it was like especially early CrossFit, it's like all your stars live in California. And then you get like the Canada people that are on that side too, and they had to travel down. So I mean,
so I guess making it open where it's like, hey, pick your battles, pick your poison. It's up to you. If you got to do 5 semifinals to qualify, that's not the best for you, but if that's what you got to do, cool.
Yeah.
Man. That's what, if you remember, they only did it once, the national champions.
Right.
That was a good idea. That did allow representation from around the world for people you would never see. And it allows them to kind of be on so if Justin Medeiros can always go to South Africa, never living there, never training there, and take that spot, the only way you're going to see a guy or a lady from South Africa is if you have some kind of representation thing, and give them a
Yeah.
shot.
I mean, yeah, people were still gaming that as well with like, I was born in Italy. I have an Italian passport. I think that was one that somebody did at some point where they're like, I have an
God, I
Italian
hate that.
passport.
I
Yeah.
hate that so
But I
much.
mean, like, yeah. So again, whatever format they have, just stick with it. I think that's all athletes and spectators want. Stick with a format so that we know what's happening.
Yeah. Stick with it. And then eventually, because, all right, it becomes an economic thing too. You're
Yeah.
a top athlete from the West Coast. You have money, you have sponsorships and whatnot. But again, the guy in or lady in Southeast Asia or Northern Africa or something, there's just no
And it's
way
one
for
thing
them
if
to
you
compete with
go
that.
there and you blow everyone out of the water, right? Because then it's like, all right, then you do deserve a spot, and maybe they don't necessarily deserve a spot. But if it's like you go there and you barely beat them,
Yeah.
then it's like now you're stealing a spot. Like like that's what I'll like now that's crazy. Like
Yeah. Maybe you could do it with a way and like, all right, Justin goes to, we'll just keep using South Africa. He goes to South Africa and he's in a country there that is a qualifying country. I don't even know how that all works. And whoever the next second person was, they become his alternate. So if he specifically can't go, drops out, whatever, that guy gets the backfill from that one instead of just whoever was across the world with points, because they're all doing different workouts and stuff like that. So if you take Justin drops out and you take the next guy in the overall rankings of however they do it, well, he didn't do the same workout that guy facing off against Justin did. So that guy is technically would have gone if Justin never went. You know what I mean? Like, so something like that.
again, they've kind of done this already.
They have? Okay,
They
I
would
don't even
do
know.
so I don't know if you remember, they had like one or two random years where they like ranked athletes. And they did it by strength of field. So like, okay, eventually they would look at Torian Pro and they would go, wait, 4 of our top women are all in Australia. We should give them, instead of 2 spots, let's give them 4 or 5 because we know like the champions there, whatever. Or like, oh, Tia's going to Syndicate Crown this year. Let's give Syndicate Crown an additional spot based on who's there in the field. But because they don't keep up with the athlete rankings and they change it every year and nothing matters, then you can't keep on doing that type of stuff. So now it's just kind of random.
How are we 20 years in and we don't have this all figured out yet? Like, can someone just put it in the chat GPT and say, hey, here's all the info. What is the best, most efficient way we could do this? And just figure that out. I don't know how we don't have a way yet. How there's not, like, after it's been 20 years, it's time to kind of stop experimenting. It's kind of like now we need 5 to 10 years of like, this is how we're going to do it, and then get concrete data on doing it that way consistently.
And that's the thing. People are going to complain every year, but if you can do small little pieces every year to improve it, that's fine. Like even athletes who hate the system, after 3 years, they go, I have to figure this out. This is what it is. I have to figure it out. But if you change it every year, then they're like, this is dumb. Change it next year.
And no one knows what it is consistently. They're like, I guess we'll find out what the thing is going to be. I couldn't tell. Like, all right, for the NFL, I know they have a combine and I know they have a draft, and then they have the season. Like, I think I got it right. Maybe there's a little thing, but that's how the format goes.
It's all simple and it's the same every time. There's no changing on a random year. Yeah.
And depending on how you did during the season, that affects kind of your draft selections. You can also trade those. You can trade a first round pick and stuff like that for the following. So I don't watch any football, but I have a cursory knowledge of how the process kind of works.
Yeah.
But I couldn't tell you really how it works with. I guess I know this year now, but like I don't
Right.
remember what it was last year because it was
Yeah.
slightly different, I guess, or 2 years ago. So yeah, we should figure that out at some point. Just have it be concrete. I think that would go a long way.
Yeah.
Um, I I did see one video, and I think it's from Syndicate. They have a wheelbarrow event.
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought that was kind of cool. If you've ever fought with a wheelbarrow before, like now, I think they should have a wheelbarrow where stuff could spill out of it, and then you have to go through that turmoil and fill it
Or
back
like
up. But
the
this works.
uninflated wheel. They should give them. Everyone gets an
Yes.
uninflated wheel, and it's
Yep.
uneven. It's wobbly. Yeah, that's where we really see who's doing yard work.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was thinking about that. I'm like, how? All right, you have these athletes who have, yeah, assuming many have not had a real job where they've had to do things like that. And now imagine skipping through YouTube or something, and you are with someone who has to do a manual labor job, and you see your job being done for recreation competitive
Yeah.
fitness competition. That's the only thing I thought was weird of it. I'm like, what about the guys and ladies that have to do this for real for very little pay, and now you're doing it essentially for fun?
Yeah.
It's kind of weird.
Cosplaying your
Yeah.
job.
And then maybe if you complain about it, it's like, imagine waking up at 5 a.m. to go do that from 7 to
Yeah.
whatever in the heat and everything. And then you do get the busted wheel and the thing falls over, and they're going to dock your pay because you spilled certain amount of stuff and whatnot. Like, yeah, that'd be weird. That's why they should put that inflatable wheel in there. And then they should get a couple guys from the rogue team that had to do all the manual labor to build everything to go out there too and smoke them all
Right.
on the wheelbarrow thing. Well, one of them
Yeah.
smoking a cigarette. He's like just going through, and it's like smokes it again, and that'd be great. That is another thing. Like I don't everybody. That's the thing. So it's like we're doing a lot of things. Like I guess with the enhanced games of like we've been talking about it for years. And all the people that have always gone, if I had the money, I would just do it, and we'd find out. Like that's essentially what's happening now with that.
Yeah.
Eventually, do you think we'll ever get to the point of where it's like, hey, show us get the average Joes out there, just just for some perspective. They're not going to finish it, but just get the average Joes out there just to show the difference overall.
Right.
On like even at the enhanced games, put James McDermott in the pool. And then I'm not even a quarter of the way down, and they've already finished the whole race. And,
Yeah.
and I'm like, just gasping. And they're like, wow, that is all right. That's different, And then the crowd can relate to like, yeah, that's where I'd be probably, or I'd be a little bit ahead of that. I don't know. Do you think we could ever get to that point where, and I know logistically it would be hard. I'm like, you got to build another lane. You got to get the equipment, like all that stuff. But would it be
And then those
entertaining? Would it be
people have,
fun?
like, yeah, but I mean, like, it's also the thing of like, but I have a real job too. Like now I got to get PTO just to not win
Yeah.
anything, humiliated online. Like, yeah, but
Well,
I mean, if
where
they were paying, that's the thing. If I'm doing that, they should pay me like top tier money, and then I'm like, oh, I'll do that. I'll be the demo guy every time.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Could you solve the problem with that on just having the demo team kind of be like not also kind of games athletes or people who missed out on qualifying, and like just have like, all right, here's Mike Mickery. He's going to show us the bar. And then you saw him do it just to demonstrate the standards, but then you see people do it unbroken. Then you see
Right.
people do it like way faster and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
and then when he's not competing, see, that's the thing too. It's like taking care of people isn't hard, yet a lot of these places make it seem very hard. It's like, don't make him pay for his games tickets.
Yeah.
Are you insane? Give him a nice box seat so he can watch the rest of the event when he's not out there demoing for you and doing stuff. Pay for his meals, pay for his flight. These are really drop in the bucket expenses. If you wanted
They send a camera crew to your house because your family has to watch from home.
yeah.
And it's like, or you
Um,
could just have them go. But yeah.
Yeah. So, like, just take care of those people, make it a fun thing. Have them use the open for qualifying to be a guy or a lady that's going to do the demo thing. You only need one of
Yeah.
each. And then you could also make that person a little mini star. And if that person's smart, they would also make themselves a little mini star. I bet you the crowd would cheer their heads off for that guy or that lady,
Yeah.
who's out there fighting. And then when you get the moments where they do excel, you have many moments you could have. It's the moment where that person actually finishes the Mekon, and you're like, holy crap. Wow, even the demo guy finished it right on the line of the time cap. And maybe even beat a couple games athletes. Like, that's the beauty part of that, if they could beat
Right.
people, or they do the heavy lift, or there was one thing that they excel at. Like, you could create little moments like that where it's like, this is the average Joe, and Joe won this one. Do you
Yeah.
think there's ever a world where the Joe would win the event overall?
I don't know about overall, but there would definitely be some where you're like, oh, that's random. That doesn't
Yeah.
even like you could be like, oh, an ex football player is good with like cones, whatever. But like sometimes it is just completely random stuff where a person's like, I actually didn't even know I was good at that. But apparently
Yeah.
that's just what my wheelhouse is. I never discovered it, but today we did.
I think it'd be fun. It would make me want to watch. I'd be like, wait, I got to see what this guy's going to do.
Yeah.
When they do this sprint thing, and then like that brief moment where he's out ahead of everybody, you're like, oh my god, keep going, keep going. And then
Yeah.
when they all pass him, you're like, all right, whatever. This is what we expected. Yeah, it'd be a fun thing to hey, if we're testing out a new format every season, let's just try that out once.
Right.
On just having it be someone, and I would prefer them to not be to have the games athlete look aesthetic, or to be super young, and with that aesthetic, and like be an up and comer. Like, I want a legitimate average Joe. Like, I
Yeah.
want the guy that works 9 to 5. He's got a beer belly. He's out there. They put him in the gear, so at least he's got the cool gear. He gets to keep the gear. Give him the clothes and all that
Right.
stuff too. And then I just want to see him out there. And you have to interview him after every single one. Like, you interview the winner, then you're going to interview the Joe, and he's like, "It's hot out here. Boy, these athletes are really good about their temperature regular, or whatever it is." He's like, "No, I never thought about that." And then the moments where that Joe gets his first pull up, like, if that guy's fighting for his life for 20 minutes to try to get his first muscle up, when he does, people are cheering louder for that dude than the winner of any other thing.
Right.
Oh, and he has to be in the final heat too. Like, it doesn't matter if he's in the early. Like, those are people who aren't finishing also, but for other reasons.
Yeah.
He has to be in the final heat, and he has to be right next to the front runner. Like, that's how it should be. He just gets that spot every time. Here's your representative of the community, next to Tia every single time, and you interview both of them.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it'd be fun, and that person is literally a mini star for the entire games. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll send that email. We'll make our recommendations. I'm kidding. Any other thoughts on these semifinals or the season, how it's going? Once it's done, we'll have to look at who qualified and if we thought it was a good test up to this point. But
Right.
semifinals does make it harder with the workouts all being different and repeating multiple events. So
For sure.
yeah. I just thought the wheelbarrow one was cool. I don't know if you've seen anything else that was cool.
Yeah. I think what I've heard is that syndicate people, a lot of athletes have really liked the workout programming because they said it's more like old school CrossFit where they're like,
That's cool.
They're just giving you hard, you might not make the time cap type of events. And people, and it's simple other than like the wheelbarrow, but that people are like, like it's just simple CrossFit. Like, here are your movements, nothing too fancy. Go ahead.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. I like that. That they should all kind of just be like that. Like we don't need very many gimmicky things and stuff. Classic CrossFit is still exciting to watch. It's the athletes that put on the race. You give them
Right.
anything, you know. I wonder. I didn't see what was paired, if anything was paired with that wheelbarrow race. I saw they had to pull it and push it two different ways, like facing away
Yeah,
from
it
it.
was that in handstand walking
Okay, I
and
can see
double
that. I
unders.
would have thought. I
I
would have
think.
thought something heavy on the midline would have been a foil in there, because like if you've ever
Mm,
fought with like the wheelbarrow,
right.
like there is like if you do have to brace your core a little bit, but at this point, I don't need like would you even be able to do enough to throw the athletes off that way?
Right.
Um, at least if they're upside down, their equilibrium's a little maybe off, maybe, but these guys are upside down all the time. So yeah, I don't know.
Mm.
Interesting pairing. Hmm. All right. Well, we'll see who qualifies. Today's should be the last day for all of them. Madrid might
Yeah.
already be done though, with the time zone, and then I guess the final thing will be the online qualifier. Which so has CrossFit put out what the workouts are for that?
I don't think so.
Hmm.
I don't think
Okay.
so. And I think it's
Yeah.
7 men, 7 women qualified through that. So
Through
yeah, we'll
that. Oh,
see.
so they're taking a big chunk from that. Okay. Yeah, that'll be interesting to see, because that's when all the comparisons happen on like CrossFit's programming has to also be tight and good,
And
you know.
that's everyone who qualified from quarterfinals who kind of didn't make the cut for in-person semifinals. So it's a bigger
Ooh,
leaderboard, I think. So more score might get thrown in there that might throw off. And I think that's why that's last, to be like, it's probably safer if you're a top guy to qualify from in person than to have, I mean, a smaller field than overall quarterfinals, but still a bigger field of like scores getting thrown in there that might throw off some stuff. So yeah.
okay. Which undecided if I like that or not. I like
Yeah.
it in a sense of like, okay, you've got one last, because it is last chance. So maybe someone who just messed up in quarterfinals but should be at the games, this is your shot.
Right.
But you kind of have a huge advantage on training, on not needing to do anything else but keep training your weaknesses and stuff for that. And then you might be going up against athletes who they've missed their shot at the in-person 3 times. So all the
Yeah.
travel, so there are advantages there. But then are you going to get enough people if you only do it for all the people that advanced in person but didn't make it? Like, and are they all going to do it? I don't know.
Yeah.
This
Again, we need a full season to see how this works, and then maybe another season with small tweaks to see if that
Yeah.
works first. But
Yeah.
yeah,
And I guess it's good to have a last chance, because also people might get injured before then. So you might, but then
yeah,
again, you have your backfill spots, or the
backfill, yeah.
backfill isn't finalized until the final roster is
I assume it'll be by event.
by event.
Yeah,
Okay. Interesting. Boy. All right. Well, we'll see. We'll see how it goes, and we'll see
right.
how the games goes too. This is the 20th year. I think that they're going to want to do it big. I don't know what that means, but hopefully everything will kind of come together. Our games was kind of like the in between games, the games between tragedy and the 20th, and being in a smaller city and
Yeah,
venue and everything. So, which I liked our games. It was still the games. It was a fun time for us. Um, but now we'll see. This should CrossFit back up again to full capacity with it. You would think.
yeah, yeah.
So
We'll see.
yeah, we'll find out. Cool. Well, Miguel, where can people follow you?
Couldn't be Miguel on Instagram.
It'll be Miguel. Follow me, James A. McDermott. Albany CrossFit Barbell Club, and we'll talk to you all again really, really soon. Later. Everything's so slow on my computer right now. It's like every button click needs to like work itself out. I clicked end screen and see what it decides to do. Oh,